Tuvie, thanks for coming to the In the Pocket podcast.
For sure.
I love talking to musicians and fellow brothers, and we talk about life, we talk about music, recovery, everything, you know?
Right.
And I appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming in.
No problem. It's my pleasure and honor to be here today with a good chaver and a good drummer of mine, Simba. Let's start off with the first question, okay?
Sure.
This is going to talk about recovery. Why should someone do the 12 steps of recovery?
Great question. Okay, let's look at the 12 steps like a foundation. Okay, we all live life, and we all have a life that we want to build. Think of it like a building. Now, we can just go and jump right into it and build a building on top of soft ground. But if you really want that building to last, you need a strong foundation. The 12 steps are very simple ways of living life. It's simple daily practices that you do in your daily life that give you a really strong foundation in life. And a lot of people think the 12 steps are only for drug addicts, and the 12 steps are some sort of like cultish kind of like, religion.
Right.
But the truth is, everybody could gain from the 12 steps. It's a strong foundation in being a good person. That's really what they are.
Well, how about someone who doesn't, let's say, believe in a higher power?
Okay.
How would they adjust to that?
Good question. So you're referring to step 3, which talks about turning your will and your life over to a higher power. So if somebody doesn't believe in a higher power, let's say they don't believe in God, right? So just because somebody doesn't believe in God, it doesn't mean that they don't believe in a higher power. We all agree that we don't control the world, right? Do you agree that you don't control the world?
I mean, me personally, I believe in God, but...
Okay.
Right.
So even somebody who doesn't believe in God, it's pretty delusional to think that a person controls the entire world.
Right.
That they created it, right? And the easy way to see this is that before you were born, the world was there. And after you die, the world's still going to be there. So obviously you don't run the world. You're not the creator of the world, right?
Okay.
Therefore, there's something out there that's greater than you that is controlling the world. Or even if you say that there's nothing specifically controlling the world, like it's just the universe or it's nature. So nature could be your higher power. Right? The universe could be your higher power. Or it can be just someone who's greater than you.
Right.
Or someone or a group of people that you trust. So it doesn't have to be God. A higher power is just something that's greater than you.
Well, how would that mountain be greater than you?
What mountain?
Meaning, let's say you believe in a higher power. Let's say you believe in the mountain. The mountain is a higher power.
Yeah.
How would someone be like, oh, the mountain is my higher power?
Okay, so good question. So the higher power that you choose in the context of the 12 steps, step 3 is talking about turning your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand Him. So if you don't believe in God, so then you can choose a God of your understanding, and the only requirement for this God is that this God can care for you. So if a person does believe that a mountain could care for them, that would technically work.
Right.
The point of the step is to give up control of your own life. To stop trying to control everyone and everything in your life. Because the truth is you don't control it and you can't control it. So when we grasp at control in life, we are fighting a battle that can never be won, and we're adding stress to our lives. So that's part of the 12 steps, is specifically there to get rid of stress in your life.
Now, how will the 12 steps help someone be clean of drugs?
Okay, so the way the 12 steps help somebody get off drugs is that it tackles the problem of why somebody does drugs in the first place. When we do drugs, especially someone who's addicted to drugs, meaning that they can't stop even though they want to, it's because they have a certain pain in their life that they're covering up with drugs, right? We say in recovery, drugs are not the problem. Drugs are an attempted solution to the real problem. Drugs are what we use to help ourselves be able to cope with the problem that we have with life. So the 12 steps is designed to help you actually heal the problem that you have with life. Therefore, you no longer need to take drugs in order to numb that pain.
On that note,
Yeah.
I've been heard this term that drugs is a disease. How is drugs a disease?
Mm.
The person decided to take the drug the first time. Maybe after that, once his body is already physically addicted to that,
Yeah.
it's a disease because, you know, you can't live without it. You get with the withdrawals, that I understand. But what about the first time the person decided to do that?
Yeah. So drug addiction is a disease, and when we say the word disease, we mean a dis-ease. That means they're not at ease. So a person, but even before, like I talk from my personal experience, years before I even took my first drug, I had something wrong with life. Something was wrong. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I had thoughts. I had secrets. I didn't know how to live healthy, and I wasn't happy with my life. Once I discovered drugs, that became my solution. But the disease, the dis-ease, was there long before the drug started.
Well, that's a great way to put it. It's not the disease, it's the dis-ease.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. Maybe we'll get back to drugs and all that.
Sure.
I think this was a good start for that. Let's, gear towards the music.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to be a drummer at live gigs?
I like this question because most people don't ask that question. People see the drummer and they're like, "Wow, yeah, you're great." You know, they just see somebody playing the drums, but it's you got to remember that there's actually a person sitting there, and it's a human experience. Like there's something going on inside of the drummer's head, and I'm sure it's the same way for a singer. I'm interested to hear for you.
Well, let me just tell you this, that, I personally think, as a singer, it's very nice that I get all the respect and all that, by the gigs. Oh, wow, there's a... But what really bothers me is that, why is the musicians not getting all that respect? The drummer, the keyboard player, especially the drummer. The drummer's doing probably, besides the bass, I would say is the second to most important instrument. It's keeping the rhythm, it's doing all that. Besides for also the physical work, playing the drums.
Yeah, so I appreciate you having that mindset and thinking about that. And being a drummer, that's what it's like to be a drummer at gigs. It's tiring. It's physically tiring, and mentally it can be draining too.
Right.
I've actually experienced like crazy stress as a drummer by gigs, especially weddings where it's high energy and you gotta play fast for an hour straight, and it can be very, very stressed on the body and the mind. So it's actually a spiritual practice for myself, a personal development practice when I play the drums. And I've spoken about this in one of my YouTube videos about how you can use drums or any instrument that you play as a way to grow as a person. And so I've actually had to learn how to control my thoughts while I play drums.
Wow.
Because when I play drums, my thoughts tend to roam into very wild places. I see certain people in the crowd and my mind automatically starts to make stories about who they are and what they're doing.
Does that throw you off guard?
It could.
It could.
It could, yeah. It definitely can, because the less present I am with the music, the less tapped in I am to what the music needs.
Right.
So
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's the same also as a singer. Let's say I'll see an old Rosh Hashiva that I had. I right away either I'll freeze up or the words won't come out as good.
Yeah.
It's because either I don't want to sound too guyish or whatever it is because I'm trying to impress this Rosh Hashiva,
Yeah.
And it really could. It could really throw you off. It's very, very true. Whether whoever you're looking at, it's oh, now I'm gonna think this and think that, and then my whole playing is gonna, I might start playing off beat or who knows what. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has this ever happened to you?
Yeah, actually, something that happens even till today is that when I see somebody and they're doing hey, waving to me, and I try to interact with them and wave back or even say something to them, it throws me off beat. I'll miss a beat, or I'll slow down or speed up by mistake, or by mistake miss the drum.
Right.
I really, in order to be a good on the drums, you need to be fully present with what you're doing. It's a very physical act, so it's every hit, every beat is you got to be there.
So that's why, like, if someone comes over to you, you tell them, okay, later or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like smile I could do,
Right.
but like my mind needs to be on the drums. And
And I think more people need to realize that. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have, close friends. You go to a wedding, you're like, oh, that's my boy. He's playing keyboard. Let me go over to him. But I think they should respect the fact that he's playing keyboard now, and don't go over to him.
yeah,
Come after the gig.
exactly. He's busy.
Yes.
People. It's very interesting to be in a musician because you're in the entertainment industry, but you're also, it's like you're an artist. So it's like you're entertaining, but at the same time you're actually creating something in the moment, and that requires you to be really present.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
People don't understand
they
that.
just think, oh yeah, he's playing the drums. He's just singing.
Yeah, like let me go over and give him a high five. Like,
Right.
don't you realize I need both my hands to play the drums?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's happened all the time. People give a high five, and like it's part of playing these gigs. Is like
I just had this at a gig. I was singing, and a guy comes over to me. He knew me. He starts like talking to me, and I was continue singing, and he was getting like mad that I wasn't responding to him. And I didn't respond to him. And after the gig, I called him up. I'm like, you have to understand, like, when you were talking to me, I can't just stop singing. You have 50 people dancing at a wedding, whatever it is. You can't just stop singing. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
And I don't. And even if it was my father, whether it was my father, my brother, you can't do it. You're at a gig. You
You're on
gotta
the
stay
job.
focused. And more people need to understand that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and they will through this podcast and through just being becoming more aware of what it's like to be a musician.
Right.
On the other end of the microphone. Yeah.
That's great. Let's say I want to start playing drums. I mean, I don't want to play drums. I like to sing. But what would you tell someone who's starting out, who's playing drums, he wants to start playing more drums, or like, what would you tell someone?
Yeah.
Someone
So
who's at the beginning stages, let's say.
awesome. Yeah. What I would tell somebody who's just starting out on the drums is, first of all, to be inspired. Find out who inspires you. Be inspired by music, because drums are one of those instruments that like it really shines in the context of music. Let's say if a person wants to learn guitar, they could sit there and play guitar and learn the scales and the chords and like just jam out yourself. But a drummer, the beat itself doesn't really mean anything until it's in the context of music. Does that make sense?
Meaning,
Like a keyboard player by themselves, they could play a full song.
right.
Or a guitar player, he
Right,
can learn
a drummer
song.
can't just play drums by
A
himself.
drummer can't play a song because beats are not songs. Beats are what happens inside of a song.
Right.
So
And then you
drummer
play the same beat for thousands of songs. Right?
exactly. And so as starting off as a drummer, I would say first start off being inspired by music. Find out who your favorite drummers are, what your favorite songs are, and try to play the drums with those songs. And if you can't, so now you know what to work on. So now you try to learn that beat on your own, right, without the song. Practice that beat, listen to what the drummer's doing, and figure out how to do that with your own body. And then, once you have that beat down, play it with the song.
Right.
Playing with music really brings drummers up.
You think they should play it with music, with drums in the music, or without the drums?
If you can start off with the drums, and then if you can get the song without the drums in it, then play without.
Mhm.
And there's actually an app called Moises, Moises, that uses AI to take out the drums of any song that you want.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's actually, you can take out the guitar or the vocals, or it's actually amazing for musicians. Check out that app. It's an amazing app.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I use that for my drum covers. Like if I want to drum cover a song, I'll download the song, upload it into the app, take out the drums, and then input my own drums.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, if a person's really just starting, like you never played drums before, but you just want to start, obviously it would be great to get yourself a drum set. But if you don't have one right now, the best thing would be you can rent out spaces that have drum sets, or you can find somebody that you know who has a drum set, but you really want to get onto the kit, right? And start feeling out what it feels like to be behind the kit. And in the beginning, I say learn like 2-3 things. Let's say like single stroke rolls, just right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Learn one beat and just develop those. Because
You think someone should focus on one beat as opposed to a few beats, and conquer that first beat?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just break it down real quick. All of drumming can be put into one sentence. Right, left, right, left. All of drumming is just your right hand and your left hand and your right foot and your left foot. That's all it is. Even the most complex beat, it's combinations of your feet and your hands working together and hitting different drums at different times.
Right.
That's all of drums. So if you learn one beat well, you're training the right, left, and this, and you're training your limbs to be able to work in unison to create a beat.
Well, I feel like a lot of people struggle with, like, I've seen it with many kids starting playing drums, where they have an issue of, let's say, hitting the pedal at the same time with the sticks and as a snare
Yeah.
or a double pedal.
Yep.
Getting all that at the same time.
Exactly. That's why one beat will do it.
Right.
Because one beat will give you enough to work on, and it's like a brain twister. People don't realize this also. Like you sit down by the drum set, you're literally in front of a puzzle, and it's like a puzzle between your body and your mind,
Wow.
and it needs to all work together. Yeah.
And what do you think is like the best way to get there? Like just by doing it, just by you know.
The best way, what worked best for me is playing with music, and always challenging myself with a little bit of a harder song than I could do. So I'm trying to play the song. I know I can't play it. I listen to what the drummer's doing in the song, and I practice that until I could do it.
Right.
Right? So I have a clear goal. That's how you achieve anything in life, is to really have a clear goal of what you're trying to get to. That's why I love playing with songs, because my goal is to play that song. And now I'll practice whatever I have to practice on my own time in order to get to that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's many different exercises that can be done to develop your muscles and your mind to be good at drums. And I'm actually creating a course on that. So I'm going to drop a link to that. So if anybody's interested in learning the drums, you can check out my course. It'll teach you exactly which exercises to do to develop yourself the quickest and the best way for drums.
Wow. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
We're gonna get back to this topic on a different episode, because there's obviously a lot to talk about this. This specific topic, you could go on and on and on. I want to ask you a different question. What is the thing that changed your life?
The one thing.
The one thing that changed your life.
I love this question because the truth is that in life you get those few moments that are just like life-changing. There's like that one conversation that you have, or that one piece of wisdom that you hear, and it changes everything. I call that the X factor. It's like that one secret
one hit,
ingredient, yeah, and it just like boom, that just explodes it all. So the thing that changed my life the most was leaving my house and going to live in a different country by myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was by far the most important move of my life, because it gave me the freedom to explore and to experiment with who I am and who I want to be. You see, when you're at home and you're attached to all the things that made you who you are, like your parents, your family, your neighborhood, right? Everything it's like it kind of locks you into who you are, and you can't really change. It's very hard to change when you're in the place that made you who you are.
Right.
But breaking out of that, like Avram Avinu, right? Lech Lecha, like leave your father's house. That's the first step in becoming your best self. Yeah, like your own person. So leaving my house and going to Israel was like, it blew my world open. I all of a sudden I was left with my own choices. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Nobody's telling me who to be and what to do. And it's completely up to me. And that freedom...
So you think that freedom was good?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That freedom, and I was just going to say, that freedom led me to a lot of failures, because I was trying to figure things out on my own that I didn't know how to do. So obviously I failed. And from those failures, I learned lessons. And from those lessons, I created a life of independence for myself. And that was my goal when I went to Israel. My goal was I want to become an independent man. It took me years, probably 7-8 years.
Wow.
To get that goal, but I finally got it. And that's only then was I able to return home. Because now I could come back to my place
And
of
be who you
origin,
are.
but be who I truly am.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even have these fears anymore of like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. It's like you took your time in Israel to figure out who you are, what you want to do, what everything, and you come back home and it's like, this is who I am. That's it. Like,
Yep.
you know.
And not only that, but nobody even tries to make me want to be different. Since I'm so free in who I am and I'm so sure of who I am, nobody's even telling me like, "Oh, maybe you should be different."
Right.
When you become independent as a real independent person, people just accept you for who you are. You know what I mean? They're not going to try to change you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right.
Right. Not everybody accepts you who you are, but those are
Unfortunately.
people that you shouldn't really be around. I'm really grateful and thankful that my family is super accepting of who I am. And I think mostly that comes from the fact that they see that I'm actually happy and healthy. So it doesn't matter who I am. I could have tattoos on my eyeballs. You know, I mean that would probably concern them, but if I'm happy and healthy, you know, if I decided I want to like convert to Buddhism, but I'm happy and healthy, that's really the only thing that matters.
And that's a big thing, you know, going back to recovery. Actually, that's pretty cool how we're tying in
Sure.
the music to recovery. That's really a big thing in recovery is being a healthy person.
That's
Everything else come after.
That's right. The foundation.
Right.
You're a healthy, happy, individual person who can take care of yourself and create a life that you want. That's really all our family wants for us. You know, at the end of the day, when parents push religion on us, it really does come from that place of that they want the best for us. But what's even more important than religion for anybody's parents is that their kids are happy and healthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, we both had a journey, of course. I think we'll talk about it in later episodes and podcasts. We'll get more into that, you know. And it's honestly, it's amazing that we're both sitting here today
Yeah.
doing this interview. I could speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for Simba, but I've been through a lot in my life. Definitely hell and back. And I could say also, like, leaving my house was also one of the best decisions I did. You know, figuring out who I am. Why do I do certain things? A lot of that also is like when you're living in your house, it's like you can't even understand why you're doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much blockage because you have to do something, right? And
Yeah.
if you're not doing that, then you're whatever. They start labeling you, and you can't even focus on your actual issue that you're trying to deal with. So for me, getting out of my house, going to Israel, which I spent a bunch of years there, definitely formed me into who I am today, which is great. Which is great.
You are great, bro. And I remember years ago our journeys crossed and like, you know, we were both in a whole different place.
Wow. Yes.
And it's amazing to see where we both are today.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be in the pocket with you, bro.
Yes. Thank you for joining the pocket and stay tuned. Thank you.